Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show every Wednesday on the Green Room Spotify app. Spotify Green Room, whatever you already want to put it in. I am here for you both on YouTube and Green Room. So, if you want to join the show, as always, download the Green Room app. Come find me at B-Ball Breakdown, join the show, and you can request to come on into the show, and we'll help chop it up for the next hour or so. So, excited to talk a little bit about the NBA. Don't worry about my face. I have a couple of things on my face to cover some stitches I got because I had to get just a little teeny bit of skin cancer removed, and whatever. It's gone. I'm fine. No problems. You won't even notice it by tomorrow. So, but let's talk about the NBA, I guess. It's like, not a lot is going on, so it's not that easy to kind of figure out what we want to talk about. So I'm kind of relying on you guys to come on in the show over on either the chat or on Green Room. And don't forget, on the YouTube side, if you want to get my attention right away, generally the super chat function works the best. But let me get the pop out here in front of me so I can check that as well and maybe resize a window or two so we can kind of discuss this stuff. But don't forget, if you want to talk to me directly, always the best way to do this is a Green Room. I think I got it fixed from the other day, which was acting a little bit weird, but everything seems to be working at the very least. So let's just share this over on Twitter before we go any farther, because it's always nice to make sure people know that we're out here and doing this. Let's do that quickly, and we'll see what's happened. So let's go. I'll just kind of grab a comment here. We'll just see what's going on. Beastie Boy, hello from Scotland. All right, great to see you all the way from the green environs of Scotland. Always, I've been there. Wait, have I been to Scotland? I've been to the Lake District, which is not really Scotland, but I always envisioned that's what Scotland looked like. Beautiful place. And I studied actually in London for a semester, and I played with the team, the University of London's team, for in the practice sessions for that semester. It was pretty fun. Ricardo wants to know why I don't like LeBron James. There's nothing about me that doesn't not like LeBron James. I think he is obviously if not the best, the second best player of all time. And I just think that there's a relationship between him and the coach that gets complicated that rubs me the wrong way sometimes, but has nothing to do with the fact that I like him or don't like him. He plays the right way and makes the right plays. Let's see. We have a request to come on the show from Classy Speaks. So let's bring Classy in right away and let's see if this works. Classy, are you there? Uh-oh. Please don't tell me this is not working. Say something again. Oh, man. Why don't I hear you? All right. You know what? I wonder if this is not working again with the old special mic I have on my thing. Let me ask you this real quickly. You can tell me either in the discussion and on the Green Room. I'm going to tap the mic. Do you hear that tapping? Is that coming through with this mic, or is it my iPad mic? Because I don't hear anything, and if I don't hear anything, that means that the YouTube crowd won't hear anything either. Gosh darn it all. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Is there anybody else wants to come in? No. Although it could very well be the app. Okay. Well, if you want to ask me something, let me know in the discussion, and let's see if that'll work first, because I guess it's not going to cooperate right now. I have another idea I can do, so let me take care of a super chat. Zeka, thank you so much. Is Joel Embiid better than Anthony Davis right now? Ooh, interesting question. Well, I feel like Embiid's a better three-point shooter, although am I crazy to say that? If I look at the numbers here, let's check that. Let's get some baseline here. So Embiid is at last year's shot 37% on 3 attempts, and Anthony Davis is not better than that, I don't think. Anthony Davis was 26% on about 3 attempts. So Embiid's a better three-point shooter overall. I can go with that. And I'll get to you, Class. I guess I have the questions. I don't know why this isn't working, but let me do this while I'm here. I'm going to try unplugging this guy. No, let's do this. All right. Classy, you there? Yeah. All right. Now I hear you. I'm going to blast you. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, where do you rank Steph Curry among offensive players of all time?
What do I rank Steph Curry among all offensive players of all time? Okay, and then let me know, can you guys hear that? Maybe I'll move this a little bit closer to my other mic. So we'll do it the down and dirty way again and see if that works. Okay, where do I rank Steph Curry all time? He's got to be top 10, I would think, just even from the impact he had on the game overall, he changed the game, and people like that reserve a very high position in the pantheon of the NBA players. So I would probably put him in top 10. Is that a hot take? Classy, what do you think? Okay, well, I must have blown his mind. Maybe he's so upset he doesn't want to respond to that. I guess I can keep my eye on the... wait, why is this happening? Why is my Siri popping up here? Is that getting in the way? What if I do that? Go back to green room. Okay. Anyway, I don't know. But if either way, that's my take on that. Joel versus Anthony Davis. They both have a very, very good post-up game, and I don't know if either one of them is more dominant than the other, really down low there. Defensively, I've always liked Embiid's defense. I've always liked the way he's been able to cover for his teammates, more so than probably Anthony Davis. I would probably go Embiid above Anthony Davis, believe it or not. There's a passing thing that I think maybe Embiid also might have on him. So, yeah, I kind of feel like you talked me into it, if that's what you wanted to do, to choose Embiid over Anthony Davis. Interesting. That might even be a good video for the offseason we might have to get to. Okay, let's see here. Let me just make sure I monitor the Super Chat so I don't miss any of those. Okay, but thank you so much for that first one from Zekwa. I don't know how you pronounce that. Okay, let's see here. Anybody else? And by the way, if you want to come on in, some people are now in here on the Green Room app. Just request to speak, and I will bring you in, and we'll get the mics to pick it up somehow and figure out why it doesn't work so well. The setup I had I thought was perfect. Let's go to Andrew. What's happening, Andrew?
Hey, Coach. My question for you pertains to the Warriors. Just wanted to know, what do you think they should do for the rest of the offseason to fill out their roster, in terms of maybe what free agents they should take a look at in the offseason?
Gosh, it's a good question, because let's go look. Jonathan Kuminga is going to become joining the team, and I'm going to do a video, I think, tomorrow on some rookies in the summer league and how well they did, and he's going to be the fifth one. I really like the way he is. He's got a terrific body, a pro body. He's got a lot of ability. Now, the only question there is at that level, and if Klay Thompson comes back, I don't know if they're going to use him much, but it would be nice to see him. I know JTA is going to be back, and then I believe they also have Poole coming back. So I kind of like what they've done so far, and now I'm forgetting the other things they've done. Who else did the Warriors add this year? Remind me. Anybody? Oh, did you? Oh, he dropped out. I guess he wanted to take his question off the air. Let me see if I can quickly. Otto Porter, that's right, and Bielitsa. And they got Iguodala back. Iguodala doesn't move the needle at all. He's probably just going to be like a secondary coach for them, or like a locker room buffer. So that's probably what his role is going to be. I don't think it's going to be that much of a contributor on the floor, that much. Bielitsa, he could shoot it a little bit. They might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of him than we've seen in the past, especially alongside guys like Curry. Otto Porter, I would expect to do nicely. He needs a rebound year after having been injured and not played much recently. But we know he's an elite three-point shooter. He can play defense, so he should fit in really nicely. And again, they're going to this sort of smaller ball, they can switch everything kind of lineup. So I think that they're going to be tough. And I think that's the only other things they can do. Now, I doubt that they have much room to do much underneath their salary cap, because they already got guys under contract like Draymond and Klay and Steph. There's not a lot of leeway, and Wiggins. So maybe they trade Wiggins. I have a feeling they're looking at that and they're looking for good deals. But it's got to be a good deal for them, or else they're not going to just pull the trigger to make a deal. So I would say it's probably 60-40 against him getting traded, but I certainly think that they're looking at some stuff to see if they can, upgrade that a little bit more. But I like what they have, certainly what they put together. If everyone's healthy, they have a tough team that should compete at the upper levels of the Western Conference. I think Klay obviously is the big key. I saw him shooting the other day. He looked like he was moving okay. It's hard to tell. It's a long shot and on the other side of the floor, but he was nailing corner threes. Hopping, by the way, which is good to see. So, but if Klay Thompson can be anywhere near the 85-90% of himself, I suspect that they would be. You could put him in the top three in the West, top three, top four at least. I would think. There's no question Curry's got another MVP style year in his arsenal before he gets to be toward the end of his career. Honor Immortal, thank you for the super chat. Which there it is. Did the Wizards get better this offseason? That's a really interesting question. And the Wizards, Let me see if I can quickly run over to their thing. How do I get to their NBA? If I go, let me just do this. Wizards off season, because they did a lot of stuff and they had the trade. So let me just get it all in place. I probably should have a page that has all of this on here, but here we go. Okay. So they signed Neto, which is great. I think he fits in nicely. They picked up Spencer Dinwiddie, which is a nice addition as long as he's back and healthy. Aaron Holiday. Oh, you know what? Did I miss that? They got Aaron Holiday because I like Aaron Holiday off the bench. He's a good little guard who can get the ball going in the basket. Kyle Kuzma, Harrell, and KCP from the Lakers in that Russell Westbrook trade. So they definitely improved. Okay, I think that by maybe removing the pairing of Russ and Beal, that makes them better. And then also by adding those guys, I mean, I think that the pairing works better. Beal more the absolute focal point of the offense, and then you got complementary guys that can kind of play alongside him, in who we listed from the Lakers, and then even Dinwiddie. So they definitely improved. I would look to see them have a better record. It's unclear how many more wins they're going to have. The Eastern Conference is a little bit up in the air too. Certainly in those 4th to 10th place teams, they're going to have a lot of jockeying positions there. So definitely be on the lookout for that, for the Wizards being better. So good question, and certainly something that I'm going to keep my eye out on for. And then they also hired, oh my goodness, who's the Wizards' new coach? Did they even say it in here? No. Help me. My Wizards' new head coach. Who was replacing Scotty Brooks? Wes Unseld Jr. Yes, a guy who, by all accounts, has deserved a shot for a long, long time. His father, was a great NBA player. So, all these things are new. Tommy Shepard, the GM, is, finally putting his stamp on this and getting able to control the roster the way he wants to. So I'm anticipating some good things out of them going into the future. Okay. Oh, wow. Beastie Boy is back with another super chat. Thank you so much, Beastie. Oh, by the way, if you haven't, you have to watch the Beastie Boys documentary. That's on Netflix, something, I don't know, some streaming service. You guys are probably all younger than me, but my high school, basketball career was shaped around the Beastie Boys. I don't think I even realized it until watching it now and remembering just, how constantly the music was on the way to these games as we were going to go. Don't forget, if you're over in the green room on the green room app and you're in the show, request to speak. I'll bring you on the show. Everyone can hear you, hopefully on the YouTube side, and we can chop it up. So my expectations, Beastie Boy, for the Jazz this year. Let's see here. Oh, and right on cue, we got somebody. Let's see here. Before you come on, let me just answer this question. My expectations for the Jazz this year. I don't think that they're going to be number one again. I think that they've hit their ceiling unless they do something really major with the roster, i.e., trade Rudy Gobert and change that dynamic. I think that they have a ceiling, and I think we've seen it, unfortunately. So, that's my take on it. I've seen enough of that pairing of Donovan Mitchell and Gobert to kind of feel like that's where we're at, and we'll see. But that's my prediction. Tony, what's happening, my man?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I came to ask a question a bit peculiar, but I always wanted to ask you, can you actually shoot? Because you're always talking about rhythm and jump shots and this and that, but can you actually shoot? I want to know that.
Yes, can I actually shoot? That was my strongest suit, Tony, by the way. I was a shooter. In fact, I can remember in my sophomore year in high school, getting labeled with all I would do is shoot the three, which I thought was really ridiculous because I was a really good defender too. But no, I could really shoot. I don't even know if my form was beautiful, perfect, like Klay Thompson. But I hit 8 threes in a game during high school, one game. I shot 50% from three, but primarily because they were all catch and shoot. You could not shoot off the dribble, and you could not shoot if you weren't wide open. So, I shot 50% from three on wide open threes against zones and whatnot. But yeah, I could really shoot the ball. And when I got into pickup, later on, college and beyond, I got labeled that way where everyone would make sure they cover me from deep.
Can I follow on to that actually?
Sure.
At what point did you realize that? Because you always talk about rhythm and energy transfer and all those kind of things. At what point did you realize that was the key to shooting?
Recently, rhythm is a newer thing for me because when I was growing up and they were teaching shooting, it was all backwards. It was wrong. And that's why I try and teach as much as I can now and help coaches understand how to teach properly, to unlock rhythm properly. So nobody paid any attention as far as I knew. I went to basketball camps all over the country. I learned from as many coaches and read every book I could. Nobody talked about rhythm. And when I say rhythm, I think you know what I'm talking about. But when I'm trying to time the arm swing up to when the knees are straightening into the jump, it's a very specific synchronization of those two movements. And when you get that right, that unlocks like the distance shooting that we're talking about from like three. So I discovered that probably in the last like 5 or 6 years, really, or I really kind of latched onto that. Maybe you guys were talking about it 10 years ago, maybe, but certainly before that, I had never heard anything about rhythm as the way I describe it. So it's a new thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Are you a shooter, Tony?
I should be, but I'm actually not, though. I know everything when it comes to, not everything, I know most things when it comes to shooting. For some reason, I'm so inconsistent. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I think there must be some kind of other external factor that I don't know about, but my shot doesn't go in.
Well, I'm going to give you one, okay? And I do this all the time when I talk to players, and I go to them, I say, are you a good shooter? What's the answer? Let's say take two. Tony, are you a good shooter?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You can't be a good shooter until you own it with the language. So you don't need to be a good shooter like 45% better than Clay, but you can be a good shooter for who you are, and we can build on that. But if you're going to let that language creep into your mind, it's going to creep into your shot. So I would suggest let's start with saying, yeah, I'm a good shooter. There's a lot more room for me to improve, but let's get to the point where I accept and I own that part. And then we can kind of get to the very specifics about like rhythm and alignment and what's going on there to figure out why it's not as consistent. But I got to tell you, we got to start with the mind and the language first. I think it really, really helps, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because think about that. How much of the brain is important when you're shooting the ball, right? Now, what I try and do when I'm training my shooters is to kind of get the brain out of it, because that's when you start thinking about other things that get in the way, and next thing you know, you're missing shots. But when the brain is already acknowledging this space, like, I'm just not a good shooter, well, then I don't see how you get out of that, right? How do you get to be that better shooter unless we start to own it with the brain to begin with? Does that make sense? So try that, start that. And by the way, because if I ask you that, no one's like, you know, let's just say you're off the court, no one knows either way, right? Yes. And, you know, you miss a few, hey, big deal, everybody misses. I'll show you Steph Curry missing 10 straight open shots sometimes in the practice, right? Whatever. You know what I mean? But it's a process, and I think it could start and help with that. But by the way, there's an app called Expert X. Download it, follow me, whatever. I'm going to be offering consultations on your jump shot. So you can send in several clips. I can be able to then record voiceover and then do draw on top of it, and then give you specific, detailed interactions on how to improve your jump shot. So Expert X is what it's called on, I think, both platforms, iPhone and Android, and you can get me directly that way, and I can help.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Cool. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to do a video to announce this in the next week, but hey, why not get it out there right now? So if you're interested, yeah, I'm already set up with an account, so you can like follow me, I guess. But then I got to maybe do one more button to set up like that stuff, but the whole final thing. But that's what's going to be really cool. So finally, I found an app that will allow me to break down your shot easily and quickly. With like I'll be able to draw and do all sorts of back and forth and slow mo. It's going to be really cool.
Please don't give us the Giannis. I want to watch a normal NBA. I don't want any 50-point triple doubles at any game.
You don't want to see 50-point triple doubles
from Giannis. I feel like if you give him to
right. Well, that, by the way, you're right. If he could start making threes at a 37% clip, then yeah, he'll ruin basketball. It will be ruined. I don't know how you'd ever stop him at that point. But you got to appreciate the hustle if he can get there, man. I would respect the grind if he could figure that out. I don't know if it's going to happen, but yeah, that's a scary thought if he could ever do that. All right, we got some other people on here. Pontus, John, what's happening, guys?
Hi, Coach Nick. I'm a big fan. I'm talking about the mental part of shooting.
Yes.
I'm wondering what you think of Ben Simmons, because I feel like he's afraid to miss. Opposite of Steph Curry, misses 10 and then makes 11 the next game. Like, how do you think Ben Simmons has a mental problem or a mechanical problem?
I think it's I bet you it's more mental than it is mechanical, because we've seen plenty of guys with ugly jump shots that can kind of make them a little bit, and not be like completely off and airballing every shot. So that's part of it. But it gets to the point where he doesn't want to shoot it. He doesn't want the ball down the stretch because they're going to foul him and put him on the free throw line. So that's that mental part there, which really builds upon itself. And he just gets disconnected from the whole offense. And now he's not even, worth being out there, aside from his defense, which, in the playoffs against a tough team, you need both sides of the floor. So I believe that a lot of it has to do with the mental side. And I really feel like he would benefit from just sort of reprogramming himself a little bit, especially because there are moments when he won't even shoot it. He gets the ball, he's open 10 feet away. You just got to shoot it. You can't not shoot it and pass up that opportunity, and he does.
Do you think he should change shooting hand? Because I've heard a lot of people saying that it looks like he's shooting with the wrong hand. I think he's like ambidextrous, like uses both hands very well.
I've seen ambidextrous people who can write with both hands, whatever, but I don't buy the whole thing about the shooter. I've been on the record for a long time saying he's a righty for sure. It looks that way when he wants to finish at the rim, to the point where he's so awkward with his finishes sometimes because he's desperately trying to get it with the right hand instead of just shooting with the left like he should. And then even his jump shot looks like a righty, because a lot of times, if you're on YouTube, you can see me. The way he shoots it, this is how he's trying to shoot it lefty. But if he just kind of moved his hand, the right hand on the ball a little bit differently, now the right elbow would be underneath the ball beautifully, and it'll be a righty shot. So, I've seen Tristan Thompson switched the free throw hand, although we never really seen him shoot a jump shot, so I don't even know if he ended up switching hands for the jump shot. But that's like the most rare of rare things to see. So I just don't think it's going to happen where he's going to switch hands. And as a result, he's just going to have to figure out how to just A, figure out that stroke, and then B, just be a lot more willing to shoot it.
Good. Yeah. Thank you, Coach.
You got it. Thanks.
Coach Nick.
Yo, what's up?
I'm all right. My question was, this is more of a general basketball question. My profile pic obviously indicates I'm a Knicks fan, but I love the game in general. And this being the 75th anniversary of the NBA, I was wondering, how do you think, I know the medias and other players are probably going to vote on the next 25 players to join the top 75 list.
Yeah.
How do you think the list is constructed? Because in my opinion, I'm a historian of the game and I love the game. And in 2021 vision, even though there are some players you look at, I don't know, Kuzi or a Bill Sharman, where a lot of people nowadays probably don't understand their impact on the game. I think they should probably be kept on and just add on to the players that were probably omitted from the list 97, on top of the obvious players that are going to be on that list, like LeBron, Kobe, Duncan. How do you think the list should be organized? And can we expect any content, from B-Ball Breakdown this year based on that?
Oh, that's a great question. So the way I have to do it, especially because I'm also a historian and focus on the history of the game, is it's not fair to Kuzi to judge him by today's standards by saying, oh, he didn't dribble with his left hand or whatever. He didn't go through his legs. He kind of went through his legs, but he did more behind the back. They simply did not have the kind of imagination, I suppose, that we have now. Dr. J easily could have been doing whatever dunks we see Aaron Gordon doing back then. We just didn't even conceive of it, so it's not his fault. As a result, I think when you're trying to rate those guys, you have to rate them in the era that they were. And what you said, I like how you phrased it, the impact they had. Jerry West didn't always go to his left hand either. Didn't make him a less dominant player in that era. So we have to continue to focus on how we judge them in that era itself, because they're not going to suddenly materialize and play in this day and age. That said, I'm convinced all those guys, if they suddenly did get in the time machine, give them the 6 or 8 months to train, and or whatever they need, and they would be able to be just as good as they are, or pretty damn good now as they were then. So you can't take them off, right? They're on that list. That's an immortal list. They can't take them off. You're going to have to simply add to it, and I think everyone's okay with that, wouldn't you say?
100%. That's what I mean. I've been talking to some of my friends where they be like, George Mikan and players like that shouldn't be on that list. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but the impact that they had within the first few years of the league is unquestionable.
For sure. Yeah, it's the impact. Now, George Mikan, right. Okay, here's an example of a guy who, if he were to come in today, like maybe he doesn't have that impact because there's so many more guys his size and he was slow and whatever. But a lot of the skilled guys from back then, for sure, they were athletes. They had skill. They could catch up, I'm convinced. But either way, it's moot that you have to include them. They were dominant in that era, and they deserve that recognition. So yeah, it's a good call. Now, if I do a video on that, yeah, I mean, it would be cool to just sort of open the eyes of some people. The thing is, with YouTube, it feels like a lot of people have seen a lot of that footage now, and the footage that I'm going to find, unless I can find some treasure trove, or maybe I can do a deal with the NBA where they'll let me into their vaults, because they protect all of that old stuff. Not easy to get your hands on. So if I can figure out a way to find some stuff that we haven't seen before or so much, then maybe I'll try and do a video on it.
All right, just one more quick question.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know is that when that list first came out, they also included like the top 10 coaches and the top 10 teams in NBA history. I'm interested. The modern coaches, what coaches do you think would make like the next 5 or 10 lists? Because I'm all like off the short list. I'm thinking at least Steve Kerr. As much heat as he gets, I put Doc River on there, and Larry Brown. But after that, I'm lacking.
Oh, so yeah, so I guess we can't put Brad Stevens on that list, huh?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because he did get to the conference finals several years. He never quite got to the finals, and I had been saying, up until he stepped down, that like he needed to kind of at least make the finals to really, put that stamp on what everyone, had been considering him as like one of the best coaches around. So that was tough. And there's a lot of reasons why, you don't get to a certain round, and it might not necessarily be the coaching, because they've always been like well prepared and very smart in the way he led his teams. I liked, but yeah, I agree. I think Steve Kerr is one of the finer coaches we have. You could throw let's see. Frank Vogel deserves recognition. I'm not sure exactly what list we're doing and where they all rank, whatever, but I want to make sure he does get some props, because what he's been able to do with this Lakers team, especially in the defensive end, is really impressive. And that's a tough situation to be in, that hardly, not a lot of coaches have had success doing that. You know what I mean? Ultimate success. Who else can we talk about? That's like, I'm assuming you mean like anybody who's coaching right now?
I'm looking at the list, and
Greg Popovich.
Some of these coaches do have, of course, how do I forget Pop? Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle.
Rick Carlisle, the usual suspects. Popovich is interesting because more recently my eyebrows gets raised a little bit. I know it's, sacrilegious to question his coaching, but I don't know. I sometimes get a little bit, I start to wander. My mind starts wandering about thinking about, he had Duncan and Manu and Parker, and like, I don't know, maybe they were a little bit more, they deserve a little bit more credit than Pop does or did, based on what we've seen since then. I don't know. Now, Phil Jackson got the same, dissing as well, because, you coached Michael and Shaq and Kobe and whatever. And Scotty, but I always still felt like Phil deserved it because of what he had to do with those were not easy teams to coach, and around the margins what he was able to improve with them. So Popovich, for some reason, there's something about it, like, I don't even know. Like, here's an example. Like with the Team USA, their defense was really problematic in their rotations. And instead of like working on that, and I'm sure they maybe did, like he wasted like 20, 25 minutes making them run sprints, run suicides. This is what, if you believe Kevin Durant, which I choose to believe that Kevin Durant is not lying when he said that after coming out of a practice. And it's like, I can't believe he'd be that old school where, because it's like, you want to like punish them or something by running sprints. It's like you'd be much better off with the limited time you have doing some sort of really intense defensive drill, right? Like that is just a waste of time. And if he's going to do that, then I'm wondering like what else is he doing coaching wise that might be archaic and caveman style, that maybe just, knocks him down a peg or two off that list.
Who did you say did that, Coach?
Popovich.
I
know. Listen. I'm gonna get roasted. I've said it a couple times in the last couple months. And who the hell am I? But at least I'll say this: I believe that every NBA coach in their contract, it stipulates that they acknowledge they're going to get a lot of shit from assholes like me criticizing them to no end. So I think that they understand that's part of the job. And it's real easy for me to sit here and just sort of say this stuff and whatever. But that said, I because I'm not actively coaching a team, I get a chance to get up above the forest and see the trees and really get a sense of like what works best for different teams. And so I don't know. There's something about Popovich and the way I've seen him the last few years coaching that makes me wonder. Just a little bit of wonder. But there's no question with his accomplishments as it is, he deserves to be on whatever list you're going to do of creating the best coaches of this era for sure.
And just one more question, Coach.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One more question. So off the top of your head, the last section of that 50 greatest list would be like the top 10 teams. Who would you say, like, since 97, like, give me your 5 top 10 teams?
Wow. Well, since 97, I mean, I guess that means we don't include that 72-10 Bulls year because that was 96?
They were already on the list, so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on there.
Oh, man. Let me do this. Can I look at the last? Oh, yeah, here we go. So, I'm kind of just quickly looking at the last few title winners since then, in the list on B-Ball Ref. So, you can probably throw one of the Lakers teams in there, the Kobe Shaq, one of those, right? Probably the second one of the three-peat, right? I would probably put that one in. I would probably put one of the Spurs, maybe the one that beat the Heat. What's funny was the one where they lost in Game 7 after the Game 6 Ray Allen shot, like that might have been their best team, right? So one of those Spurs teams probably deserves certainly to be in there. Let's see here. Anybody else? Do we?
17 Warriors.
Okay, yeah, for sure. That team should be in the top of that list. Durant and Warriors with Curry. You probably put one of the Heatles up there, right? That was just how stacked they were at the very top in the top 3 puts them in that conversation somewhere. But that's probably about it as far as teams go across the board, right?
I'd agree.
Yeah, no one else is really jumping out at me, unfortunately. I mean, maybe with the Celtics when they had their big 3, but they were at the end of their careers more or less, so I wouldn't put them up there.
I think that's like the most. I feel like that looking back at that team, their bench was also stacked. I don't get how they weren't better.
Which team?
The team they won the championship with.
Wait. Oh, the Celtics. Okay.
Yeah. They had Tony Allen coming off the bench.
Leon Poe. When he was, by the way, he got hurt. It's too bad. I thought he was going to be really tough for that era. Non-shooting big who could really just play defense and get rebounds. Who else? That was a good team. I mean, listen, let me click on it real quick and I'll tell you if I'm. Oh.
Or I think it's the year after. They also had. I know Nate Robinson's not all that, but like Nate Robinson was pretty good. Rasheed Wallace.
Oh yeah, right. Here, let's see. The minutes played. Well, the one that won it this year, it was Allen Pierce, Garnett, Rondo, James Posey, Kendrick Perkins. They had Eddie House, Tony Allen, Sam Cassell. There's Leon Poe, Glenn Davis. They had Big Baby. Yeah, I guess it was okay. I don't know how. Are you talking about the next year then, maybe?
Yeah. I made a mistake. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I know Kevin Garnett got hurt, so I guess they really lost to the Lakers.
Yeah.
They had Gerald Green also.
The next year that lost to the Lakers in the finals. Let me make sure this is the right one I'm looking at. Oh no. The year after they won the title, they lost in the second round to the Magic. That was when the Magic played the Lakers. But that's the Garnett one. Yeah, and then the Magic got really hot. Remember that was Dwight and the shooters, Rashard Lewis. That was a fun team too. And by the way, if I recall correctly, you guys can all hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I heard a thing. Audio is out as a thing I missed. Maybe he's back. Okay. If I recall correctly, the Magic, it might have been 1-1 against the Lakers in the finals, and Kobe got beat backdoor, and they missed the layup that would have cost them the game. Does that sound familiar to everybody?
Yeah.
And so as a result, the Magic could have gone up 2-1 with a home game, I think, if that's correct, the home game for Game 4. Like, that changes a lot of things. And, one shot, it's amazing how that can happen. And, it would happen to be Kobe who got beat on a really, I think my memory was it was, not good defense, and he really got away with murder on that one. So, that was a fun Magic team, by the way, that certainly deserved to be there, and could have almost changed the history of the NBA on that one.
For sure. Coach, I had a question. So, I hate, like, I don't really watch, like, sports media. Like, maybe once in a while, just for fun. But, like, does it bug you? Like, you know so much about, like, basketball, but then you see these people on TV, like, that don't know, like, anything?
Does it bug me? I mean, some things that bug me off the top of my head would be listening to, like, Sirius XM, the NBA channel, and the question comes in. Because here's the thing. I will pledge that if somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm not going to try and make it up or BS my way through it. I hear that sometimes on Sirius XM, and we all know who we're talking about, right? And that bugs me. I mean, there's no question I will throw up my hands when I hear something and be like, that's not right. Or there's somebody who does something similar that I do, and I'm like, I could do a video every night correcting what he is saying about what's going on in the court too. So, listen, more power to anybody who can get that hustle on and get on TV and be part of that. Like, I respect that to no end. But there's no question. Yes, it is frustrating for sure to see that and hear that and get it spread. But because remember, that's why I started B-Ball Breakdown, is because for too long that was the case. There was just like a lot of sort of misinformation or misunderstanding of what's happening, and then no way to add to the conversation. And then even with me, like if you guys comment on the videos, I try and comment back and we have a conversation. Versus for all those years when it was a one-way street and you had no way of saying, well, hey, what about this? And they wouldn't have to respond. And even now, I don't even think the guys on the Espn broadcast respond. I don't, right? They're not on Twitter as far as I could see. I never really see, like, remember Tim Legler used to respond on Twitter and it was actually pretty good. And then somebody must have told him, hey, like, don't do that or stop, being abrasive. I don't know. But I really enjoyed when he'd get back and forth with people. But I don't see that anymore from anybody on TV these days.
Is there anyone that you would say, like, oh, like he's kind of serious? Like Skip Bayless is obviously like an actor.
Yeah. Who is serious? Oh, you mean in terms of like the Zach Lowe, or is he too normal? Like,
No, I guess Zach Lowe. I would say, I forgot the guy's name, Brian Windhorst. I think he seems like he kind of knows what he's talking about.
Oh, I love Windy. And by the way, I don't listen to NBA podcasts, right? I don't want to be like influenced by other people and when I decide what I want to do for content. But I will admit that I will listen to his podcast with McMahon and Jackie McMullen was on it. Maybe she's retiring now, so she won't be on.
She's really good too.
Yeah, she's great. And so that is one. Let's give him a shout to Windhorst. For sure, he knows what he's talking about, and he's really well connected. And just when he says something or predicts something, I think he's right almost all the time. And he doesn't get out in front of his skis either. He'll just basically report what he knows and what he's heard, and it's always we have somebody who doesn't like him in the chat. But all I can tell you is I really enjoy his podcast. I think he's measured and is credible. And that's important. Nick Wright is somebody that's coming up into the chat as well. The jump got canceled?
Yeah.
Wow. So they just tried to bury that in the middle of the summer. Because, Rachel Nichols' controversy was interesting, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Malika Andrews will host a new show and do a fine job, though.
Yeah. I don't really know her much at all. And she didn't have a lot of experience. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct, yeah.
So she was just a fresh face. I had never really seen her or heard her. So I'm anxious to find out. I don't watch most of those shows anyway. Does anybody watch the pregame ABC or ESPN shows? I don't.
Sometimes it's fun. I don't take any of it serious. I just hope Perkins doesn't get his own show.
Perkins is an interesting case because. Okay, Steve Kerr, for instance, has got a wonderful career because he came through in the clutch in very key moments with the Bulls and then with the Spurs even once. You know what I mean? He had a career that was good and he contributed greatly. Kendrick Perkins, briefly a little bit did that, but for most of his career, he really, was the guy who you're like, I hope we can just get out of this stretch without us losing, being down in the score. And for him to translate that kind of a career into what appears to me to be, right, a very successful, punditry career, weighing in on this stuff, I got to give him as much props as possible. Now, again, what he says is kind of ridiculous a lot of the time, and I think we all get it. But if he's going to somehow create a 30-year career out of this, man, he deserves. He is smarter than I thought he was, and he is more in tune with what needs to be done to make that happen, and he deserves credit for that. You know what I mean? Because most of the time it's like the Paul Pierces and all those guys, who are really, really good, who get that shot, not like, the Kendrick Perkinses of the NBA. So looks like he's gonna be able to pull this one off, and I want to give him props. I think a lot of the things he says are way off, but every once in a while he'll throw a real nugget of truth in there that I'm like, okay, like I can roll with that.
Coach, I was wondering what you thought of the YouTuber Ben Taylor.
Yeah. Well, Ben is is he thinking basketball?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, his stuff is good. I'm not sure if I'm going to comment. I won't comment directly on Ben's stuff because it kind of blurs with me a lot of times because I'll check whatever I can check out because, there's not a lot of people doing what I do. And in fact, he doesn't really do what I do either. And I'm a little bit more the X's and O's stuff, I think. But I will say that there are times on some of these channels where I'll see things that I think are completely wrong. And to the point where it's like, this is troubling because people are going to listen to this and believe it and take it for what it is when it's like it's not, in my opinion, it's not really what is really going on. Like it's a misreading of what the footage is. And I think I'm allowed to say that because I've been doing this for so long and I've been wrong for so long and learned from that and realize what we're doing here. So I get a little concerned with that because some of the people, their backgrounds also aren't necessarily rooted in coaching or in on the basketball side. Now, a lot of times you'll see the players complain about that, right? And say, well, you didn't play, so what do you know? And that's ridiculous because you don't need to play at the D1 level to be able to understand the game. However, I would think that you would, if you're going to comment on strategy and that kind of stuff, there needs to be some deeper level of personal experience with this versus just like, by the way, recycling what I do, right, which happens. And I've seen that where I'm like, yeah, it's a freeze-dried version of one of my videos. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I liked what I've seen from Ben. So someone's mentioning Jimmy High Roller. Totally not what I do, and everyone's been kind of clamoring I should do more of those because if you watch his view counts are absolutely staggering, right? He gets millions upon millions of views of all these videos. It must take him a long time to do this. And I have to tell you, I can get it. Like they're kind of mesmerizing with what he does. And so those are impressive. Again, he doesn't kind of quite get into the thing where I'd be like, that's not right. Cause he's more into like the personal stories, I think. But he's another guy I thought is good. Rusty Buckets I like, and I like how he's been able to build this channel of his without using footage. When I started, like I couldn't get traction by just talking to the camera like that. And I needed to be able to have the footage. Like that's what everyone wanted to come for. So Rusty is great. Who is?
Funky Diabetic?
I know him, but wait, does he do commentary?
Yeah, he'll just put up a picture of like a LeBron dunk or a picture of like Paul Pierce or something, and he'll just talk.
Oh, right. And by the way, those are tough for me. I mean, I don't know if it's like ADHD or whatever, but like it's not easy for me to watch a really long form video of somebody just sitting there talking to the camera. Like, God bless you guys for being with me on this show, but at least we're having some interaction and I'm answering some questions. But those are ones that sometimes are hard for me to kind of just to watch because I need a little bit more stimulation, which makes sense. It's why my channel tends to only do really well when I'm using the NBA footage to break stuff down. But yeah, there's people who are creeping into the conversation. I had the run of the road for years, right? I don't think anybody was doing much until like Coach Daniel came in there and like a couple other guys. So it's good to see. It's good to raise the level of discourse. Oh, Stephen, Heat Check. You guys ever watch him? No. Yeah. Heat Check is great. He's been on the show, and I always enjoyed chopping up with him. And like again, an example of a guy who like he's never actively coached, but he's smart and he can see the game and he picks out certain details that people miss. I might not even notice it, and it's really impressive to see him do those deep dives. So there's lots of room in there for people to do it. It's just it's funny because people ask me, well, how would you do it now? How would you start a YouTube channel? And I got to be honest, like it's been so long since I had to deal with that I'm not even sure. It's so much more crowded these days. It seems like it would be a real monumental task to try and start from scratch in this day and age. Oh, yes.
A couple months ago about LiAngelo Ball. So do you think he's going to make the NBA?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Somebody asked me about that in the last show too. I think he's got enough NBA skills to make a team. Let's see. Remind me though. Who was he picked up by? Charlotte?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and not a bad situation to be in where a team it doesn't have the greatest of pressures to win right now, and they can bring him in and play alongside his brother. He's good. He's got skills, and so I think he certainly deserves. Let's find out if he can be a guy that can contribute. But there's no question he can make plays, and he's got size. He's kind of he tends to play a little bit bigger than what he could fit into in the NBA, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get any post ups and stuff like that. But I definitely think he deserves a shot, and my ears and eyes are wide open, waiting to see how well that works. I don't think he played in the summer league, right?
Oh, he did.
He did? Oh, all right. I'm gonna because I'm
He was coming off the bench though. So
crap.
I don't know if that was a strategic move or just because of his
all right.
talent.
I'm adding him to the list right now. Wait, who is this asking me?
James?
James. Oh, sorry. Okay, James. I'm giving you a gem. Wait, I can applaud again in 25 minutes. Wait, why can't I? Oh, I see. Each one gets an applause every 25 minutes. I'm going to write that down because I'm preparing a video right now on some of the rookies I went through for Summer League footage, and I didn't have him on the list, but I want to add him and make him a sixth player because I have right now I have Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Trey Murphy, not Deion Mitchell. What's Mitchell's first name? Davion Mitchell. Thank you. And then Jonathan Kuminga. I'm going to add LiAngelo Ball because I want to go through his footage. I'm curious to see. How he looked, but I have a feeling he probably looked good enough where it's like, yeah, he deserves a shot, and let's find out.
If you put him in your thumbnail, you'll probably get a lot more views.
Ooh.
That is true.
Oh, you know what? Well,
I would also add James Booknight.
let me write that. Yeah, somebody else asked me about Book Night, and he played in the Summer League too.
Yep.
I've only been doing synergy dives, so it's like I haven't watched much of the Summer League. I've just been going through very specific clips and stuff. So, all right, you know what I might do? Maybe LiAngelo Ball is his own video. That's probably the right thing to do, right?
Yeah. You're going to get easy views.
Yeah. Hey, I could use some easy views these days. I've been busy doing other things. I don't know why. I'm glad that's why I'm here right now to let you guys know. I'm trying to ramp up, and I'm slowly getting some more videos in the pipeline. But I don't know. It's a weird. I guess the playoffs were so hard. I did a video every day practically for 60 straight days. I was so burnt out and had to deal with some other stuff. And on the family side, I've been busy with. But I will get back to it. So we'll start getting some more subscribers and some more views out there, right? Everyone's going to come back and flock to the channel.
For sure.
Yes. All right. It's weird because I feel like sometimes people will just unsubscribe if I don't post a video for 4 days. And it's weird. It's like that's a conscious decision, an active thing to do versus he hasn't posted. I'm just gonna when he does, I'll look at it. It's weird. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that looks like that when I'm looking at the analytics where I'm like, why did that many 30 people? And by the way, you could check this if you wanted to on whatever that site is, but 30 people unsubscribed in a day. And mind you, for 5 or 6 or 8 years, whatever it was, I never had a negative day of subscribers. Never. So it's this weird thing I'm looking at, and I have to only imagine it's because, I haven't posted in a few days in August, and people are whatever. Does that make sense to anybody?
I think they just don't like you anymore, Nick. I don't know.
I get in line is all I could tell you. Join the list.
Hey, Coach, I'm new to this. Is there an order in the questions, or just jump in?
Just jump right in.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Is there any truth to the number 15 through 20 picks in the draft being better than the top 5 due to them going to a better team?
Ooh. Well, here's the thing. Normally what happens, and I almost, if I can type this while I'm talking, NBA draft 2021, let's look at it real quick. Here's what I think is funny is who ends up being drafted at the bottom of the first round? What age usually?
22-year-olds, 21-year-olds.
Right. And somebody who's probably played multiple years in college, right? Who was probably maybe more ready to help right away, right?
Yeah.
So who ends up drafting at the end of the first round?
Good teams.
Yes. So the good teams, the better teams, get more ready players right away who can join them. So it's this weird thing, right, where they want to reward the worst teams with the more potential, I suppose. But in reality, it's the good teams that can add a guy for really cheap who can probably come in and help right away. So it's kind of a strange thing. And I'm looking right now. Let's see. So if we're talking about 18, whatever, let's look at the guy. Oh, the NBA didn't include their draft class or their age. Son of a gun. Who does? Anyway, I won't be able to tell you now. But I'm looking at Trey Murphy, Trey Mann, Kai Jones, Jalen Johnson, Keon Johnson. All these are the guys who all drafted at the end of the first round. It's Cameron Thomas.
Like, a lot of those guys are kind of raw, more high potential guys.
Okay, this year, all right. So some of those guys are raw. So they're not older, multi-seasoned college players.
Yeah, this year didn't have too many.
Yeah, interesting.
Some sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I ask is my grandfather used to say that all the time. The best picks is 15 through 20. You never want the number one pick. And he used to bring up Otto Porter and Jason Tatum, and we see how those careers planned out. But really, who knows who was better?
Wait, was Jason Tatum drafted after the 15th pick?
No, Tatum was drafted third.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, third. Wow. Great call.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but listen, if you're looking at the statistics and like the sheer numbers, like it's hard to say that that's right because clearly more top 10 picks do well than the 11th through 30th.
Yeah, but the ceiling on the players who get drafted later in the draft aren't really as high, right? They usually are close to peaking, and the players that get drafted in the lottery are usually their ceilings are much higher and have a potential to be high-level starters or superstars, right? Yeah, I mean, overall, yeah. I mean, listen, I would hate to be the guy who has to tell someone who's picked 22nd in the draft, like, yeah, you hit your ceiling, man, that's it. I'd hate to be that guy. As a coach, I'm always looking at, no, there's got to be more we can unlock from everybody. But if you want to look at the facts of the last 20 years, then yeah, I mean, that's true. Now, yeah.
Now is like a team like the Clippers, for example, in this year's draft, they took a guy like Keon Johnson, who has like I wouldn't say super high potential, but he has pretty high potential. He's nowhere near his ceiling. He's just super raw and athletic. And I think certain like contenders that don't have young talent are going to start doing that more instead of taking the NBA ready guys.
Well, by the way, the guys who they need to draft more are like the Kevin Durant style guys, like the 3-and-D guys in that size. We have to stop. I mean, listen, I really like, and I think it's a cornerstone piece that the Suns got in their center. Help me. Oh my goodness. What? Ayton. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton. But like that, DeAndre Ayton should no longer be drafted first or second or third in the draft. You know what I mean? It's the Tatums and it's the guys that can be, the 6'8", 6'9", who can shoot threes. That should be the priority here. And wait, who got drafted first this year? That fit in, didn't it?
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, it's Cade Cunningham. It needs to be drafted first. Now, that's an easy one. And by the way, I watched his clips. That guy is going to be a 12-year All-Star and better. This guy is amazing. All right, and he really, really is good. And it was like, and so that wasn't it was a no-brainer. But those are the guys that should be drafted at the top. The first 8, 9, 10. You can always get an Ayton kind of guy who's a tough guy, big, set screens, grab some rebounds. And let's say you don't get Ayton, you get someone who can give you 80% or 85% of that production. You can pay him half the cost, and now you're in business with a better team. So hopefully that's what we're moving forward toward. And by the way, that means that Tatum is going to be a center. Kevin Durant is a center. That is what we're going to see going forward. And as a result, we don't know what's going to happen to all the Aytons, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to be viable. For a while there, Montrezl Harrell should not have been viable, right? He should have been a guy like Kenneth Faried, who was on the verge of like, oh my God, he's on Team USA, he's going to be really great. And then overnight, he became obsolete, right? And Harrell was exactly that guy and somehow has been able to carve out still a little bit of a niche, although, man, did it go south really quickly last year. By the way, I cannot wait for that tell-all book. Someone's got to come out and explain what happened, right? Is there anything leaked at all about the Harrell situation?
Well, what happened specifically with the Lakers?
Yeah. He went from playing a lot and being an integral part to Anthony Davis goes down for good and he still doesn't even get in at all. And I was like, why?
I don't think he likes Space Jam very much.
Maybe. You don't think he likes what?
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Yeah, that might,
Andre Drummond signing. I think it's just because he's that bad on defense, coach?
Nah.
No. Yeah, because he was bad. He was the same before.
Saul's still better than Montrezl Harrell.
I mean,
no.
In the Sun series, some of those games are like
he's like retired. Saul's overweight and old.
Especially when Anthony Davis went down. Like, you needed him to come in and do something and at least try. Like, it was weird. And by the way, they got what they wanted, which was Well, he opted in so they could trade him, but they clearly wanted him to not opt in and stay, right? That's so. Before the season ended, I had said that. I said, okay, if you're the Lakers and you don't want him on the team, but he's got a player option, well, what would you do to make sure that doesn't happen? You bench him for no reason and don't really say anything to the media about why. You know what I mean? That would engender enough ill will from his end and be like, get me the hell out of here. I will, and that's what happened. Like, I will sign the offer so you could trade me, please. And then that's what now he's going to play, for a different team, which I think will be better for him.
Coach.
Yeah.
I have a question about the comment you made about the big names, right? So I feel like if there's a center who is like small ball proof, I still feel like it should be taken pretty high in the draft because like he provides size and he doesn't fit the weaknesses that like traditional centers face. So how do you feel about that?
Well, but wait, are you talking about something specifically?
Well, I feel like 18 did well against the Clippers small ball lineup because like he really punished them on the grass and like he wasn't so bad defensively that he had to take up the court.
Wait, sorry. Who are you talking about?
18.
Oh, John Ray. Sorry. All right, I'm trying. I mean, listen, I love Ayton. I hear you. It's tough. I love him. I think he's really important for them. And by the way, he will end up shooting threes. So like he will be a modern version of the center anyway. But man, I don't know. I feel like like I mentioned, with a player like that and who can do that, I feel like you can get a guy like that at 15th. Or maybe not exactly like that, but yeah, you get 80% of him at a 15th and then end up, still being as competitive as you could be. You know what I mean? I know he helped. And I know he did shift some games, but there are other times when it was like, it's the Mikal Bridges kind of side that they need a little bit more more production from too, to put him over the top. I think maybe that's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a second question. I just wanted to ask how you felt about Kuminga in the summer league.
So I really liked what I saw from Kuminga. I think, just physically, and he's that big of a body, and he moves that well, and he's got ball handling skills. Can he shoot? Can we figure that out? I don't know if I saw him shooting any threes, right?
There was one game where he shot he shot quite a bit. I think he shot like 4 threes or something.
Okay, I'm trying to actually wait. Let me look at my notes real quick if I wrote it down. Yeah, I wrote poor rhythm on his threes. I'm about to grab at the actual clips. I've watched the clips, so now I got to go through them and actually pick the ones I want.
He's gonna need some work.
Yeah, and maybe I can help him with that. So but if he can improve that, then yeah, I mean, there's no better environment to be around if you want to get your jump shot just to improve by osmosis than the Warriors. But so I don't think he's quite NBA ready. But I think soon, if he can get a little bit of reps and they can develop him, it's kind of like the Wiseman thing where, listen, Wiseman is going to be an all-star, I think. And they gave him a lot of opportunities to develop. I know he got hurt a couple of times, and that really sucked because it would have been great for him to get his, 68 games in last year, a lot of reps. And so I feel like, Kuminga could also be on that same trajectory. It's hit or miss with him. He's not a surefire guarantee that he'll be a legitimate NBA player, but he's got a lot of the intangibles that I've seen. And as long as he can get the right kind of training and development in the right situation, then I think he could be good.
Yeah, but in Kuminga's defense, right? Like I know that he looks a bit run out, but like he was already supposed to be in next year's draft and reclassified. So I think that like a year or two more, he will start looking at the future version of the screw. So
totally. Well, listen, I'm gonna have to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. But I'll take a couple more questions and then we got to wrap it up because I got my next thing to go to. But yeah, go ahead.
Last one. Okay. Do you start Denny Avdia since you lost Westbrook? Do you start Denny Avdia at the 1?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. We went through this like a few weeks ago with who they have and who starts. Man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. None of the newcomers started at guard, right? Because you're talking... Oh, no, yeah, it's Dinwiddie's going to start. And then, by the way, KCP would probably be in the backcourt, and they probably are going to continue having Avdia at the 3. I was worried about him. Yeah.
Beal together?
Beal and who?
Beal and KCP together?
Yeah. Starting? I mean, listen, if Spencer is healthy, I can't believe that they don't start him. I just feel like that's just going to be a non-issue. That's a guarantee in my mind, right? Like, I don't think it's a hot take, right?
No, I mean, he signed for 20-some million. So
yeah. So I just think, yeah, politically, and by the way, I think it'll work nicely. I think Spencer and Beal is a nice background, a nice backcourt complementary to each other. So there. Now, then you have to get into the other side where with Rui and oh my goodness, who's a center who's really good for them that got hurt? William? No, Bryant. Like I think he'd start, right? But then you have Trez doing his thing off the bench, and I would think he's going to get back to his 6 man of the year stuff. So I think that who am I missing right now for the Wizards? Ooh, so like Kuzma and Avdia, that's going to be an interesting dilemma because who gets to start, who gets to play more minutes at that position? That's interesting.
Well, Danny's coming off an injury, so I don't know how healthy he is right now. So I mean,
yeah,
that spot's probably to Kuzma.
Remind me of what his injury was.
Was it a meniscus?
Oh,
yeah, it was a meniscus, right?
Oh, okay. That's not terrible, but it's not great. And I was worried about him, too, and the way he shot and all those things. And it kind of came out. It came true. I mean, I think he was also banged up. He got banged up when he was trying to play. But Avdia, ultimately, his three-point shooting, was under 32%. That's not going to cut it. And that's what I was worried about. Remember, he started out really hot, as far as I remember, in the beginning of the year. And everyone's like, oh, he doesn't dip the ball. Look at that. And I was just like, okay, but it didn't last, and it wasn't surprising to me. So hopefully he'll adjust his rhythm and get better. But all right, how about this last question? What do you? Who's got one for me?
Hey, Coach, I had a question about the Bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of people's opinions that they might be a top 4 seed or they might have to fight for the play-in. I was just wondering, their best playmaker is probably DeRozan. How far can they go in the playoffs? By that, because I don't think Lonzo's a half-court playmaker, right?
Lonzo is a half-court. I mean, okay. I did the video. I don't know if you saw it. Yes, Lonzo was relegated to a spot-up shooting guard kind of thing. I felt like in New Orleans. And part of the problem is that in that offense, which, by the way, Donovan kind of runs very similar as well, if you're bringing the ball up, you're just going to do a handoff at the wing, and then the ball's out of your hands all of a sudden. And it might come back to you off of a handoff or something else going in the middle, but it's not the traditional, like, Chris Paul kind of thing you'd see. So what was the rest of the questions? What was the rest of that question about Lonzo, about the Bulls?
I just thought DeRozan was probably their best playmaker, and I was thinking, how far can they go?
Okay. So I think that, they're going to be a lot better than they've been the last 4 years, A. They're going to make the playoffs, B. DeRozan had a career high in assists per game, and so he's becoming a bit of a facilitator. And I showed some of those clips where he was actually, driving, elevating into the air, and then firing a skip pass for a three. That was, next level, especially for him. So I think there's interesting. There's a redundancy between him and Levine a little bit, but I think they can work that out to some degree. And I think that when you add all the other parts together, remember they were 12th ranked defense last year with Vucevic. And by the way, when Vucevic got there and he played his 20-some games, they didn't drop off defensively either. So you got to wonder, if they can have a top 10 offense, which they should. And Donovan got them to 12th in defensive rating last year. And listen, they've added some better defenders, right? They've added Lonzo Ball. They've added Caruso is a good defender. I'm forgetting there's another guy or two on the team that are good defenders. Who am I forgetting?
But Patrick
Williams.
Yeah, Pat Williams, I think, is a good defender. I still need more data, but okay.
But he's he's still young, so.
Yeah, right. But he makes plays, and he's got the right energy on there. So, all of a sudden you're thinking, well, geez, let's just say they're 12th in defensive rating and they're 8th in offensive rating. That's 4th in the conference, minimum, right? And a team that no one wants to play in the playoffs because they've got experience and they can really hurt you. And we didn't even mention Levine, who's arguably the best scorer in the NBA, or certainly one of them. So.
I'm not sold on that Bulls team. I don't know.
I know. I mean, on paper, right now, it's it's easy for me to be like, this team should be very, very viable.
Losing Thaddeus Young is going to hurt them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a really nice complimentary in their half-court offense. I mean, I think I didn't do it, but I was going to do a video on his passing in the half-court because it was really that good. Yeah. But they have so much passing as it is now with all these guys, so they're not going to miss that too much. And it's possible that they have somebody else. Well, Patrick Williams obviously is the guy they're hoping they can plug in and kind of recreate some of that. I don't think he's quite ready for that. But again, offensively, we're not worried at all about the Bulls, right? We should not be worried. It's going to be the other side. And we've seen Donovan be the architect of very good defenses in the past as well. So I don't know. Everything on paper is indicating they're going to be really solid.
You're not worried about them trading Levine if he doesn't get the max? Isn't that why they got DeRozan for insurance?
Oh, I kind of felt like they got DeRozan and all these guys to keep Levine. But again, if it's his decision not to stay and whatever, and it makes it a problem, yeah, they're going to have to because they need to get something back for him.
He might still touch free agency.
But he wants the max, though. So he keeps talking about
He's probably worth the max, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think he is.
You know, he's a guy that can score almost 30 a game, and you know, we by the way, he played a little defense in the Team USA. Like, if he doesn't have to be the complete focal point on offense, maybe we'll see some more plays on the defensive end from him this year because he doesn't have to, work so hard.
It wasn't really an effort thing with him, though, right? It was just like he just looked a little lost out there.
Yeah.
The back cuts and just
no question.
guys gone.
So we'll know the answer to that in the first 10, 12 games, I think, right? Like we'll know right away if there's going to be an improvement there or not. And so that's the other thing is about the Bulls team. I think we don't need to wait half a season to make a decision. I think we can wait 20 games and we'll know by then whether this is working, provided they're not injured and anyone gets hurt. You know what I mean?
Do you think Lonzo should play off the ball?
I think Lonzo looks at his brother in Charlotte and is like, why the heck don't I get that opportunity? I could do exactly the same thing. So I would think that Lonzo is like, I want the ball. I want to be able to run the fast breaks. I want to be able to get the ball moving, all that kind of stuff. So I would think that Lonzo would want the ball in his hand a lot more than he has had it in the past. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think Lonzo ends up being the guy that's going to suffer the most in terms of production.
Yeah, with the bar.
Yeah, I think. But it's also Lonzo's mindset, like the way he plays. He's very complimentary in that respect. Those guys are going to take advantage of that, or not take advantage of it, but they're gonna get more touches and more usage. So I would imagine that what we saw from this year out of Lonzo as far as production in the box score, that's a high water mark I think for him for this year too, which isn't bad, but that's probably the high water.
Lonzo can't really finish in the paint. I've seen him miss like really easy.
Yeah, no, he can't put pressure on the rim. He can't shoot off the dribble. Like those would be issues.
Yeah,
which is why he's so good off the ball.
Yeah,
compared to on the ball.
Yeah, he's an interesting conundrum, and it's hard to figure him out. But we know he can shoot, and he's kind of adjusted his jumper. We know he's got incredible IQ and great vision, and so maybe he'll be the designated fast break guy, and then in the half court he's the spot up guy.
Next to the bar.
Yeah, he's the fast break spot up guy. We need a new designation for that. But oh shit. All right, I got to go. I'm late. But awesome stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here, especially on YouTube as well. Hopefully I get this audio thing fixed again. But don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Coach.